AVC, Japanese presses. What makes them so desirable? Why do people love collecting them so much? And why do I love collecting them so much? Let's go over it today, and I'm going to show you the Japanese pressings that are in my collection. This is Primetime Vinyl, and I'm Nick. First up, we've got Ozzy Osbourne's Bark at the Moon. It is on the red CBS label. It's still in the shrink, and the obi is in near perfect condition. That album also came with some goodies, a little order form sheet for, I'm not sure, shirts, I think, or just merchandise. It came with a 7-inch with some B-sides on it. That's still sealed. Here is the most interesting thing. It's got temporary tattoo, completely unused, and it still has like the little protective film over it. And then on the back, it's got the instructions in Japanese. And then you've got the insert with the lyrics in English on the back and the lyrics in Japanese on the inside. So already you're kind of getting to see why I like to collect Japanese pressings and why a lot of other people do too. In these pressings, there's often a lot of little bonus items that you get with them, and you just don't get those with other country pressings or anything like that. There's a couple more reasons why people love to collect Japanese vinyl, but I'll get into that in a second. Next, we've got The Ultimate Sin by Ozzy. This one is still in the shrink, and it has the Japanese hype sticker. It's on the red CBS logo. It also came with some goodies. Here's an order form, again for clothing or other LPs, I'm not really sure. And then it's got an advertisement for some other Ozzy memorabilia or something like that. And then another really interesting thing, it's got a sheet of stickers. These are all unused, obviously. It was really hard to find a copy of this album that had those with it and where they were all in great shape and unused. I was very happy to get them. Again, here's the insert with English lyrics on the back, liner notes in English there. And then when you open it up here, you've got the Japanese portion of it. Next, I've got Diary of a Madman on the Jet logo in very, very good condition. Sounds great too. Next, I've got Ozzy's first solo album, Blizzard of Oz, again in great condition on the Jet logo. And before we move on, I just want to talk about the other reason why people love collecting the Japanese pressings. There's the obi that kind of catches your eye and is really kind of fun to have as a collector. But the other thing is that for whatever reason, a lot of the Japanese pressings tend to have a much quieter noise floor, meaning there's a lot less clicks and pops and whoosh noises and just noises in general between the tracks and in the run-in and run-out grooves. It's just, for whatever reason, a lot of the Japanese pressings have little to no surface noise. In my experience at least. I've heard it from a lot of other people too. So it's just a lot easier to actively listen to these albums and completely get lost in the music and not be taken out of it by clicks and pops and everything like that. It doesn't mean that these are mastered any better. It doesn't mean that they've mixed it or made the music sound any better. It just means that it's a little bit easier to get lost in the music because you're not hearing as much surface noise on them, at least in my experience. So let's move on. Coming up next is actually the only Japanese record I found in the wild, and that is Iron Maiden's Power Slave. A lot of people would say this is the best Iron Maiden album, and I'd be inclined to agree for the most part. It might not be the best for me, but it's certainly in the top 3 or 4. Only Japanese record I found in the wild, and that is Iron Maiden's Power Slave. A lot of people would say this is the best Iron Maiden album, and I'd be inclined to agree for the most part. It might not be the best for me, but it's certainly in the top 3 or 4. That album also came with a poster in it. I don't want to pull out everything in all of these records, but it did come with a poster. Next is one that's actually really hard to find. It's Seventh Son of a Seventh Son by Iron Maiden. This one might be the one I paid the most for as far as Japanese pressings are concerned, and that is because it is a Japanese promo version, which is what that right there means. So it cost quite a bit extra than just the regular pressing there. Next up, we've got Somewhere in Time, Iron Maiden, again with the Obi. It's on custom logos. This came with a 7-inch of interviews and also a little booklet with a bunch of promotional photos and everything like that in it. Next up is one of my favorites, and for more than one reason. It's not just for the music, but I actually bought this sealed, and I was the very first person to ever drop a needle on it, and I was the very first person other than the machine or whoever quality control touched it to put my hands on it as well. And that is Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast. It was sealed when I bought it, still in the shrink. The Obi's in perfect condition. You can still see the original price sticker there. It's on the custom logo, and obviously it was in perfect condition because it was sealed. Next, we've got Peace Sells But Who's Buying by Megadeth on the rainbow capital logo. Amazing Megadeth album. My favorite Megadeth song is The Conjuring, which is on this album, as well as Wake Up Dead, just a bunch of Megadeth's classic and fan favorite songs. Next up, Kill 'Em All by Metallica. It's on the Nexus label. A lot of the Japanese pressings are on the Nexus label. Next up, we've got Ride the Lightning by Metallica. Also Nexus label, hard to find. Another really hard to find one, Master of Puppets on the red CBS label. This one came with 2 promotional photos that are really hard to find with the copy and not in horrible shape. This does have them in there, but again, I don't want to make this video 30 minutes, so pulling out all of the stuff like that would be a little difficult. Next is And Justice for All by Metallica. On this Japanese version, it actually has the bonus track of The Prince, which later ended up on Garage Days. It's a 2 LP, so it sounds great. Next is Led Zeppelin 4. I don't really have to go into too much detail about this. It's an album everybody knows everything about. And Rush, Farewell to Kings. It's actually the first Rush album I ever heard. My dad gave me a copy of it and I became obsessed. It's got Cinderella Man, Xanadu, Cygnus, Farewell to Kings, the title track, and Madrigal, which is actually my parents' wedding song. Next, we got Rush's Power Windows. Again, great sounding, one of my favorite Rush albums. It's got Mystic Rhythms on it, one of my favorite songs. Permanent Waves by Rush, classic Rush album. It's got Spirit of Radio, Free Will, Jacob's Ladder. And next is Heaven and Hell, Heaven and Hell, but Black Sabbath. This is the Dio era of Black Sabbath. It's actually my favorite Black Sabbath era. And then next is Tony Martin's era. I'm not the biggest fan of the Ozzy era of Black Sabbath. It's not that I don't appreciate it or don't like it. It's just that it's my least favorite era of Black Sabbath. I love Ozzy's solo material. And next, I've got Mob Rules by Black Sabbath, another Dio era Black Sabbath album. It's on the spaceship Vertigo logo. I think that's what they call it. And last but not least, Judas Priest's Defenders of the Faith. This is my favorite Judas Priest album. A lot of people wouldn't put this as their favorite. Some people hate this album, but I love it. It's got Love Bites on it. The Sentinel is an amazing song. Free Will Burning, Jawbreaker, Some Heads Are Gonna Roll, and then of course Heavy Duty and Defenders of the Faith. It's just such a great album. I love it. So that's my Japanese press collection so far. I'm gonna buy a whole bunch more, I'm sure. I'm kind of in a phase of that right now. I actually have ordered a Dio Last in Line version, Japanese press, and I'm waiting for that to get here, but because I ordered it from Japan, I have to wait quite a while. A lot of these I actually ordered from Japan because it's just easier to find them there, and the price of the album itself might be cheaper, but a lot of times you have to pay between $18 and $30 for shipping, so it kind of evens out. But if you search long enough, you could find decent deals, and if you're buying from a seller that's in Japan, oftentimes that's how you find the full package that has the inserts, the photos, the stickers, and things like that. So it's just easier to find a complete Japanese pressing if you're buying it from a seller in Japan. I've never really had any negative experiences buying from Japanese sellers. I'm not sure if that's across the board with everybody else, but for me, it's always worked out, and I really enjoy Japanese pressings for all of the reasons I stated. They sound a little bit better just because the noise floor is a lot lower. They don't, like I said, they're not mastered better. The music itself isn't better. It's just that the noise floor being so low, allows you to get sucked into the music a little bit better. So there's that. So if you love Japanese pressings like me, tell me about it in the comments. If you are looking forward to buying Japanese presses because you saw this video, let me know in the comments. If you have some really cool Japanese pressings and you make a video, or you already made a video, leave a link to it in the comments and I'll check it out. And last but not least, please like and subscribe. I am a new person to the VC and I'm going to make a ton of videos, so I look forward to gaining as many of the VC subscribers as I can so that I can share those videos with everybody else. And that's about it. So please like and subscribe, and see you later.